From the rising of the sun to its going down, the Lord's name is to be praised. Let us open our hearts to his presence and listen for his voice in the stillness of this evening hour. Our evening sacrifice, signs of Christ's soon return. March 22. Great balls of fire. Christian, rose and arm for conflict, nerve thee for the battlefield. Bear the helmet of salvation and the mighty gospel shield. Let the breastplate of peace be on thee, take the Spirit's sword in hand. Boldly, fearlessly go forth then, in Jehovah's strength to stand. Great balls of fire. Last Friday morning, just before I awoke, a very impressive scene was presented before me. I seemed to awake from sleep, but was not in my home. From the windows I could behold a terrible conflagration. Great balls of fire were falling upon houses, and from these balls fiery arrows were flying in every direction. It was impossible to check the fires that were kindled, and many places were being destroyed. The terror of the people was indescribable. After a time I awoke and found myself at home. I saw an immense ball of fire fall among some beautiful mansions, causing their instant destruction. I heard someone say, "We knew that the judgments of God were coming upon the earth, but we did not know that they would come so soon." Others with agonized voices said, "You knew? Why then did you not tell us? We did not know." The enemy has worked, and he is working still. He is come down in great power, and the Spirit of God is being withdrawn from the earth. God has withdrawn his hand. We have only to look at Johnstown, Pennsylvania. He did not prevent the devil from wiping out that whole city out of existence. On May 31st, 1889, an estimated 2,200 people lost their lives in Johnstown flood when a dam broke after many days of heavy rains. And these very things will increase until the close of this earth's history. The earth's crust will be rent by the outburst of the elements concealed in the bowels of the earth. These elements, once broken loose, will sweep away the treasures of those who for years have been adding to their wealth by securing large possessions at starvation prices from those in their employ. And the religious world, too, is to be terribly shaken, for the end of all things is at hand. The time is now come when one moment we may be on solid earth, and the next the earth may be heaving beneath our feet. Earthquakes will take place when least expected. In fires, in floods, in earthquakes, in the fury of the great deep, in calamities by sea and by land, the warning is given that God's Spirit will not always strive with men. Before the Son of Man appears in the clouds of heaven, everything in nature will be convulsed. Lightning from heaven uniting with the fire in the earth will cause the mountains to burn like a furnace and pour out their floods of lava over villages and cities. Molten masses of rock thrown into the water by the upheaval of things hidden in the earth will cause the water to boil and send forth rocks and earth. There will be mighty earthquakes and great destruction of human life. Satan is working in the atmosphere. He is poisoning the atmosphere. And here we are dependent upon God for our lives, our present and eternal lives. As being in the position that we are, we need to be wide awake, wholly devoted, wholly converted, wholly consecrated to God. but we seem to sit as though we were paralyzed. God of heaven, wake us up. God has not restrained the powers of darkness from carrying forward their deadly work of vitiating the air, one of the sources of life and nutrition, with a deadly miasma. Not only is vegetable life affected, but man suffers from pestilence. These things are the results of drops from the vials of God's wrath. God takes responsibility for that which he allows or does not prevent. Being sprinkled on the earth and are but faint representations of what will be in the near future. Famines will increase. Pestilences will sweep away thousands. Dangers are all around us from all the powers without the satanic workings within. But the restraining power of God is now being exercised. I have been shown that the Spirit of the Lord is being withdrawn from the earth. God's keeping power will soon be refused to all who continue to disregard his commandments. The reports of fraudulent transactions, murders, and crimes of every kind are coming to us daily. Iniquity is becoming so common, a thing that is no longer shocks the senses as it once did. And the prince of evil spirits, great deceiver of the world, he who hath the blessed Jesus once his deadly weapons hurled, cometh with unwanted power, knowing that his reign will cease, when the kingdom shall be given to the mighty Prince of Peace. This passage was taken from Last Day Events, page 24 to 27, or Evening Sacrifice, March 22. I encourage you to connect with God and receive strength to overcome obstacles each day. Thank you for listening. Please join us tomorrow as we offer up our evening sacrifice.